with everything Harry and Meghan have put those two through. I am not blaming Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, for even a single second.
How are Prince William and his wife, Kate Middleton, responding?
They're done. They're done. William doesn't even want to hear Harry's name anymore. He's just kind of like, don't bring him up. We're good. The royal family was like, hey, let's not talk about the king's mortality because you don't know, specifically because the king has refused to speak to you since February 2024.
The whispers began like static in a group chat, but within hours they had allegedly spilled out into the wider world of royal gossip.
According to a royal source, friends of Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, allegedly ridiculed Meghan after the announcement of her lifestyle company being rebranded to As Ever in February.
According to sources, friends close to William and Catherine, the Prince and Princess of Wales, were caught mocking Meghan Markle's big relaunch of her lifestyle brand. Her much-hyped company, As Ever, rolled out with polished photos and curated messaging, was not being taken seriously behind palace walls. In fact, insiders claim those friends were joking in private WhatsApp groups, referring to it as if. The play on words landed hard, as if it will ever succeed, as if anyone will actually buy this wine, as if Meghan is the new Martha Stewart. It wasn't just a quip, it was ridicule wrapped in casual laughter, and reportedly, it stung.
The friends reportedly referred to the Duchess of Sussex's latest business venture as if.
What makes this more explosive is the suggestion that it wasn't just a one-off gag. Messages allegedly bounced around between members of the Wales' social circle, filled with snarky asides and memes about Meghan's new business identity. One insider went as far as to describe the brand as budget, rushed, and embarrassing. Imagine spending months on a glossy rebrand, only to have it reduced to a two-word punchline by the very people whose approval Meghan once seemed to crave most. If that nickname sticks, As If could do more damage to the brand than any bad review ever could. This isn't the first time Meghan's ventures have been met with skepticism, but the timing is what makes this leak feel especially brutal. Just weeks ago, a so-called peace summit had supposedly signaled thawing relations between the two sides of the fractured family.
I am not blaming Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, for even a single second for deciding to have a bit of a dig at Meghan Markle's flop lifestyle brand.
For the public, it looked like William and Harry might be inching toward civility, perhaps even a fragile truce. But behind the scenes, if these chats are genuine, the gloves are still off. Silence in public, mockery in private. That's the picture now being painted, and it raises uncomfortable questions about whether reconciliation was ever really on the table. Insiders suggest that William has gone through his own cycle of emotions when it comes to his brother and sister-in-law. Anger gave way to hurt gave way to distance, and now distance has allegedly given way to ridicule. Laughter, after all, is a powerful weapon. It minimizes, it strips away significance, and in the case of Meghan's business, it risks turning her carefully constructed lifestyle image into a running joke. The Sussexes have always been most sensitive to ridicule. Criticism can be spun, but mockery lingers in memes, in hashtags, in group chats.
As if it will take off. One said it's caused quite a bit of laughter within the group. WhatsApp messages have been going back and forth. It's all very budget and rushed. Embarrassing, really.
And according to people close to the situation, that's exactly what's happening right now. The phrase "as if" isn't just a dig, it's shorthand for disbelief, doubt, and dismissal. For Meghan, who has built an entire post-royal identity around being taken seriously in Hollywood and Silicon Valley, being reduced to the punchline of a WhatsApp chat among royals' friends is nothing short of humiliating. And perhaps the cruelest part is that William and Catherine themselves haven't had to say a single word. The laughter is happening all around them, and the silence from their side is deafening. But that silence may also be the sharpest cut of all, because it suggests they don't need to fight Meghan's narrative anymore. They can just laugh at it. But if laughter is the new weapon of choice, what happens when that joke escapes private circles and enters the global stage? It is one thing to criticize, but quite another to laugh.
Ultimately, it does seem like they're trying to compete with the British royal family, which it's just absolutely impossible to do from Montecito, from Hollywood.
And according to those close to the royals, that is exactly the shift we are seeing. Where once there was fiery outrage at Meghan and Harry's moves, the Oprah interview, the Netflix docuseries, the endless headlines, now the response, at least behind closed doors, has allegedly become ridicule. Laughter, not confrontation. Mockery, not rebuttal. For William and Catherine's friends, the as-if nickname has become more than just a snide remark. It is a strategy. Because in royal circles, silence combined with humor can be devastating. Nothing enrages someone trying to build credibility more than being met with laughter instead of anger. Think about it. For years, Meghan has tried to position herself as a lifestyle mogul, the next Gwyneth Paltrow or Martha Stewart, a woman with taste, vision, and influence. But the moment a nickname like as-if takes hold, the whole illusion crumbles. Instead of chic branding, people see try-hard posturing. Instead of aspirational elegance, they see cheap imitation. Sources even suggest that as-if is now circulating not just in royal WhatsApp groups but in media circles, whispered by journalists who relish the chance to use it off-record. That is the kind of branding stain that cannot be washed off, no matter how many carefully staged Instagram posts or polished press releases follow.
Meghan, she's an American celebrity, so I can kind of forgive her for it.
It's definitely her idea.
She's like, Prince Harry is a prince of the realm. You imagine the centuries of history and tradition in this country.
What makes ridicule uniquely damaging is that it strips away power. If the royals were angry at Meghan, that anger could fuel headlines, statements, maybe even sympathy for her. But when they laugh, it signals that she no longer matters, that her efforts are not even worthy of serious debate. It reframes the Sussexes from dangerous disruptors to awkward tryhards. And in the image-driven world Meghan thrives in, being seen as irrelevant or embarrassing is far more dangerous than being seen as controversial. Controversy sells. Embarrassment kills. One insider put it bluntly, they know what will hurt her most, not outrage, not criticism, but being laughed at. That single observation explains why the as-if moniker cuts so deeply. Because Meghan has always wanted to be taken seriously as a visionary. Yet here she is, allegedly the butt of jokes in palace circles, branded as someone who is playing at luxury rather than embodying it. And the brutal irony? William and Catherine do not even need to join in. Their silence is part of the punchline. Their restraint makes the mockery land harder. Social media only intensifies this effect. Already, memes have begun surfacing, side-by-side comparisons of Meghan's wine bottles with tacky gift shop souvenirs, hashtags twisting as ever into as if or worse. Each meme adds fuel to the fire.
The respectful organisations that he was or is an ambassador of, the military, and you're behaving like that and happy to release it in public. I mean, it's just so demeaning.
Giving the nickname cultural traction far beyond a single leaked group chat. Meghan's team may try to dismiss it as petty gossip, but the damage is in how fast it spreads, how quickly it becomes the shorthand for her entire brand. And perhaps the cruelest part of all? Laughter signals that the royals are no longer threatened, they are amused, which means the power dynamic has flipped yet again. But money talks louder than jokes, and Meghan's problem is about to get much bigger than a leaked nickname, because Netflix just quietly changed the rules of the game. The timing of this ridicule could not have been worse, because just as Meghan's brand faced its first real public joke, Netflix pulled back the safety net. Remember when the Sussexes' deal was worth a staggering 9 figures? Back then it was guaranteed money. They could announce almost anything, and the checks would still arrive. But now, sources say the dynamic has shifted dramatically. The grand partnership has allegedly been whittled down to what industry insiders call a first-look deal. Translation, no more automatic paydays. Instead, Meghan and Harry must pitch like everyone else. And Netflix has the right to pass on their ideas. If the streaming giant does not like it, they walk away. And the Sussexes walk away with nothing.
To joke around about it, you gotta laugh, right? I mean, you have to laugh at this point. You do, because they took an opportunity and squashed it so bad that all you can do at this point is laugh.
For a couple accustomed to cushion contracts, this is a chilling reality. A first-look arrangement sounds respectable on paper, but to Hollywood veterans, it is a polite downgrade. It means the platform no longer sees you as a guaranteed hit, but rather as a risky bet. They will only back if you deliver something extraordinary. And let's be honest, extraordinary is not the word people are using to describe dried cookies, wine bottles, or recycled holiday gift guides. Industry voices have been blunt about it. One entertainment analyst said the arrangement looked like a face-saving exit for Netflix, a way to maintain ties without truly committing. The implication? Netflix wanted out, but Meghan and Harry's team begged for something that did not scream cancelled. By securing a first look, they can still claim a relationship with the streamer, but the power is gone. The balance has shifted entirely in Netflix's favor. They choose if and when to engage. This makes the WhatsApp leak sting even more, because if Meghan's lifestyle venture fails to impress and Netflix continues to brush aside pitches, her options narrow fast. Her brand is supposed to prove she has independent value outside the royal family, yet ridicule and rejection make that case harder and harder to sell. And in the luxury space, perception is everything. A brand mocked by royals and ignored by Netflix does not look like a brand poised to dominate. It looks like a brand running on fumes. Even the timing of Netflix's public silence is telling. Go search for official support of her As Ever project, and you will not find it. Executives mention a holiday special here or there, but never the lifestyle empire Meghan is trying to build. To Netflix, it is small fry, a side hustle they might indulge if it fits into a content gap, but not a marquee deal.
Plus, Americans, West Coast Americans, do not refer to her as Princess Diana. That put alarm bells right away. Plus,
she also said Duchess of Sussex.
Yeah.
She also said
yeah, and he goes, "Don't you know who Prince Harry and Meghan Markle is?"
Insiders whisper that even Netflix executives view the wine as little more than a Bridgerton-style novelty, a gimmick product with minimal weight. And if the most important backer she once had has checked out, where does Meghan go next? The answer might lie in how other celebrities view her brand, and one outspoken reality star just used Meghan as a warning sign. When Bethany Frankel speaks about branding, people listen. Love her or hate her, she built her own empire from scratch, and she knows exactly how hard it is to turn celebrity into sustained business success. So when she was recently asked why so many star-led ventures collapse, her answer zeroed in on Meghan and Harry. According to Bethany, they are the perfect example of how fame can't be the only ingredient. Allegedly, they had a narrow window of opportunity, rushed into too many deals at once, and failed to stick the landing. The result? A lifestyle that costs more than the revenue rolling in, and a brand identity that now feels scattered, even desperate. Her comments weren't cruel so much as clinical, but the effect was the same. Meghan's rebrand was held up as a cautionary tale. And here's the irony. This is the very opposite of what Meghan wanted. She hoped to be an example of reinvention, of empowerment, of a woman carving out her own corner of culture after walking away from the palace. Instead, she is being used in marketing seminars as a case study in what not to do. For someone obsessed with image, that is devastating. Bethany even pointed out something that other critics have echoed. Confusion kills luxury. First it was archetypes, then with Love Meghan, then as ever. Each shift felt abrupt and each new logo or slogan seemed to erase what came before.
Oh, I fell in love with her in Suits.
they plugged Suits.
Kid, aren't you a little too young to have watched Suits? What was it? 10 years ago? 15 years ago?
In the competitive lifestyle space, consistency is everything. Gwyneth Paltrow has Goop. Martha Stewart has Martha Stewart. These names do not change, because their value is tied to familiarity and trust. But Meghan's ventures, rebranded again and again, risk coming across like half-baked experiments. And when William's friends joke as if, it cuts deeper precisely because the brand already looks unstable. Bethany's comments also touched on the brutal economics. Montecito living is not cheap. Maintaining a mansion's security, staff, and luxury travel requires constant revenue, not occasional deals. And as she put it, even for seasoned professionals, securing sustainable income streams in entertainment is really hard. If Meghan and Harry with their fame struggle to lock down stable projects, it signals the market may be turning away from them altogether. That is not just a business problem, it is a credibility problem. The gossip here is not just that Meghan's brand is mocked in royal WhatsApps, it is that industry figures are beginning to echo the same sentiment. They may not say as if, but the meaning is the same. Skepticism, doubt, dismissal. Each time a celebrity uses Meghan as an example of failure, the narrative builds. And unlike a single negative article, this kind of reputation shift spreads quietly, shaping how investors, partners, and even fans view the next product rollout. Still, Bethany's words, while sharp, were delivered with a degree of sympathy. She said she believed Meghan and Harry were decent people trying to hold on to a lifestyle that had simply become too expensive.
And you valeted Prince Harry's car.
We didn't valet his car because he had his own car with his crew, but he came through and introduced them.
But in Hollywood, sympathy does not sell. Cold analysis does. And the coldest analysis yet came from another media voice who framed the Netflix downgrade as something far more damning than just a smaller contract. If Bethany Frankel was clinical, Megyn Kelly was cutting. Appearing on television, she broke down the Sussexes' new Netflix arrangement in a way that made the first look deal sound less like an opportunity and more like a humiliation. Her take? This wasn't a renewed partnership. It was a face-saving maneuver, likely pushed by agents desperate to avoid headlines about Netflix walking away altogether. According to Kelly, the streamer had the power, the money, and the leverage. If Netflix truly believed Meghan and Harry were content gold mines, they would have locked them into another fat, exclusive deal. Instead, they gave them crumbs, and only if they could prove they had something worth buying. The harshest part of Kelly's analysis was her blunt suggestion that Netflix's only real interest in the Sussexes is tied to royal scandal. Their big hit was the Megxit docu-series. The tell-all moments, the clips of Meghan mocking the Queen with an exaggerated curtsy, that sold subscriptions, that fueled headlines, that was bankable. But a polo documentary, a lifestyle cooking series, a cozy holiday special filmed on iPhones? According to Kelly, Netflix has no interest in bankrolling projects that highlight Meghan and Harry outside their royal context. In other words, their brand is only valuable when it is tethered to the very institution they walked away from. This interpretation is brutal because it cuts directly against Meghan's core narrative. She wanted as ever to prove she could stand alone, to show she had cultural weight beyond palace drama. But Kelly's read suggests that the only time the Sussexes move the needle is when they are spilling tea on the family they left behind. Without that, they are just another Hollywood couple pitching underwhelming content ideas. And Netflix, with its bottom-line focus, isn't sentimental. If the stories aren't explosive, they're not interested. What makes this commentary sting is the accuracy many see in it. After all, Meghan has positioned herself as the new lifestyle tastemaker, yet her content output has been sporadic, inconsistent, and critics argue underwhelming. The as-if jokes land harder when Hollywood insiders are already whispering that her projects lack spark. To them, she isn't Martha Stewart. She is a celebrity trying on roles that don't fit. And if Netflix is only waiting for another family tell-all, then Meghan's grand vision of a luxury empire may never find footing.
Was Meghan with them? Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
No, that's starstruck.
I would be starstruck if she was.
Bro, what?
Who's Meghan and Prince Harry?
Bro, what do you mean?
Kelly's framing also added a darker layer, the possibility that Netflix is hedging its bets for a future royal tragedy. Allegedly, they want to be in position if Harry decides to unleash another wave of stories about the monarchy when the time is right. That isn't about lifestyle or empowerment, that's about scandal and profit. For Meghan, who wants legitimacy in the luxury and lifestyle space, being seen as a pawn in a waiting game is devastating. It makes her brand look less like an empire in progress and more like a bargaining chip. And when you combine that with ridicule from royal WhatsApps, the image is clear. Meghan's brand is seen as unserious in London and unprofitable in Hollywood. But instead of easing the pressure, her team's attempts to build relatability have only deepened the cracks, and the valet video fiasco proved it. When the ridicule is already mounting, the last thing you want is a stunt that looks staged. Yet that is exactly what critics claim happened with the infamous valet video. The clip, which appeared online showing two young men supposedly shocked to bump into Prince Harry, was meant to look casual, spontaneous, even viral ready, but viewers weren't buying it. From the awkward dialogue to the oddly scripted shoutouts, complete with a plug for Meghan's old show Suits, it felt less like chance and more like a PR plant. Insiders immediately began whispering that the Sussex team was trying once again to manufacture authenticity, and the backlash was swift. What made it so damaging wasn't just the suspicion that it was fake, it was the fact that audiences could smell it. Social media lit up with comments pointing out the bizarre details. Why would West Coast 20-somethings, who were likely in grade school when Suits aired, suddenly gush about being obsessed with Meghan's acting? Why refer to Diana as Princess Diana in casual bro chat, when Americans usually just say Diana? Why would guys who supposedly didn't know much about the royals conveniently record themselves the moment Harry walked by? Every detail looked off, and every detail fed the perception that the Sussexes were forcing a narrative no one asked for. This wasn't the first time either. Earlier, an airline attendant story about Meghan had gone viral, only to be dismissed by skeptics as another conveniently flattering tale. Together, these moments create a pattern critics argue shows a desperate attempt to craft likability instead of letting it happen naturally. And when you're already being mocked as if, the last thing you need is content that feels faker than reality TV. For Meghan, the damage here is twofold.
Did you watch Suits?
No.
Oh my god.
Did you
watch Suits?
Yes. Bro, I fell in love with her in Suits.
Yeah.
Before I knew she was a freaking princess.
First, it undermines the very image she is trying to sell with her brand. Lifestyle empires thrive on authenticity. People buy into Martha Stewart because they believe she really bakes in gardens. They buy into Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop because they believe she actually lives that wellness life. But if audiences think Meghan is faking moments just to seem relatable, the trust evaporates. And without trust, no one buys your wine, your cookies, or your holiday decor guides. Second, it reinforces the royal circle's mockery. If William's friends are already laughing about as if, a viral fake-looking video only fuels their amusement. It's more evidence in their eyes that Meghan's empire is smoke and mirrors, glossy branding with no substance behind it. And the cruel irony, by trying to prove she is authentic, Meghan allegedly proved the opposite. The valet video, instead of humanizing Harry and Meghan, ended up as another meme, another punchline in a growing string of embarrassments. And if the ridicule from royals was one dagger, the silence from fellow celebrities has been another. Because when even A-listers like Mariah Carey sidestep Meghan's name, the isolation becomes impossible to ignore. The valet fiasco may have sparked eye rolls online, but the silence from Hollywood has cut even deeper. And nothing captured that awkwardness better than Mariah Carey's recent radio interview. The host, practically begging for a royal connection story, pressed her on which members of the family she had met. Many expected Mariah to mention Meghan, especially since she had once appeared on Meghan's Archetypes podcast, but instead she breezed past the Duchess entirely. She mentioned Fergie, tossed off a quick anecdote, and moved on. No warmth, no enthusiasm, not even a polite nod toward Meghan, just silence. To anyone else, it might have been brushed off. But for Meghan, who once proudly touted Mariah as a podcast guest, that omission spoke volumes. Fans immediately picked up on it, flooding comment sections with speculation. Had Mariah distanced herself on purpose? Did she forget? Or was it the ultimate diva move, channeling her legendary "I don't know her" shade, once famously directed at Jennifer Lopez? Whatever the reason, the optics were brutal. Here was a global icon who had worked with Meghan, who had been tied to her brand, and who now, when given the chance, opted not to acknowledge her at all. Insiders claim this is not an isolated incident. Hollywood stars who once cozied up to Meghan have allegedly grown cautious. Appearances on her projects have dwindled, with guest lists looking thinner and less impressive than before. The Archetypes podcast boasted serious names: Serena Williams, Mindy Kaling, Mariah herself, but the successor projects? Not nearly the same level of star power. In an industry where association is everything, the quiet distancing has become its own form of shade. What makes Mariah's silence sting so sharply is that it underscores the narrative already swirling in royal WhatsApps. Meghan is mocked by palace insiders as if she is allegedly viewed by Netflix as a second-tier risk, and now even A-listers seem hesitant to be linked too closely. Each of these layers chips away at her positioning as a tastemaker. Because lifestyle branding relies on cultural relevance, and relevance is measured by who stands next to you, who praises you, and who wants to be seen in your orbit. Without that, you look like an outsider, someone trying to be invited back into rooms you no longer have access to. And in Meghan's case, it's not just that celebrities are silent. It's that they seem to be going out of their way not to mention her at all. For a woman once hailed as Hollywood's royal insider, that silence is deafening. The cruel irony is that Meghan wanted Archetypes to prove she belonged among cultural heavyweights. Instead, the project now looks like the peak she may never reach again. But while Meghan's brand scrambles for traction, the royal family continues to project something else entirely: stability, authenticity, and gravitas. And nothing highlighted that contrast more than a recent unscripted moment that left even the Queen consort in tears. While Meghan struggled to gain traction with As Ever, the monarchy was busy reminding the world why its brand remains unmatched. At a recent commemoration for the 80th anniversary of VJ Day, a war veteran went off script, turning what should have been a carefully planned ceremony into something unforgettable. Standing before King Charles and Queen Camilla, the veteran paused, voice trembling with emotion, and saluted the king, not for duty, not for tradition, but for showing up while undergoing cancer treatment. Camilla wept. The crowd fell silent, and in that raw moment, the monarchy demonstrated the kind of authenticity Meghan has been chasing but never quite capturing. This is where the contrast becomes brutal. While Meghan releases glossy Instagram posts of cookies and wine bottles, the royals are producing moments that move entire nations. No filters, no hashtags, just duty and humanity. It is this contrast that makes the As If nickname so effective. Because in the public's eyes, one side is quietly earning respect, while the other side is allegedly scrambling to look relevant. And when you put those side by side, the ridicule almost writes itself. Princess Anne has only reinforced that narrative. On the eve of her 75th birthday, Buckingham Palace released a new portrait along with a montage of her life. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't designed for viral clicks. Instead, it showed decades of service, hard work, and quiet loyalty. Clips of Anne on horseback, standing beside her mother, repeating outfits from decades ago without shame. It painted a portrait of authenticity that resonates deeply. Social media, usually quick to mock the royals, flooded with praise for Anne's stoicism. For many, she has become the ultimate example of dignity, the no-nonsense princess, who embodies exactly what Meghan seems to lack: steadiness. And here's the kicker. Authenticity is the one thing you can't buy with a Netflix deal. It can't be crafted with a new logo or a clever slogan. It's either real or it isn't. That's why moments like Anne's birthday montage hit so hard. They highlight the generational contrast. Anne rewears glasses she's owned for decades. Meghan, meanwhile, pivots between brands and identities as though she's searching for a foothold. And when you stack them together, one looks timeless, the other looks desperate. The palace doesn't even need to attack Meghan directly. They simply exist as a counterweight. Every time they release an image of Anne, every time Charles shows up despite his health battles, every time duty shines through, Meghan's attempts at building a luxury empire feel thinner. She's competing with an institution that thrives on moments money can't buy, and insiders say that is exactly why ridicule, rather than rage, has become the new weapon of choice. Because when the world is moved to tears by a veteran's salute, who has time to take toilet wine memes seriously. Yet memes are dangerous things because once they start spreading, they rarely stop, and the As If nickname is showing signs of becoming more than just a private joke. It's on the verge of morphing into a cultural meme. Nicknames are dangerous in the digital age. Once they escape their original context, they grow legs of their own, and that is exactly what seems to be happening with As If. What began allegedly as a joke in a royal WhatsApp group has now started showing up in headlines, gossip blogs, and comment sections across social media. People are no longer just calling Meghan's rebrand as effer. They are gleefully twisting it into as if, attaching the phrase to memes, hashtags, and even online reviews. It is not just an insult, it is a branding virus, spreading faster than any press release can contain. The cruelty of a nickname like this is its simplicity. 2 tiny words carry the weight of disbelief, sarcasm, and mockery. You don't need a paragraph to explain why people are laughing. It's baked into the phrase. As if has cultural currency. It reminds people of iconic 90s slang, the kind of line that instantly feels dismissive and cutting. In meme culture, that is gold. And once it sticks, it's almost impossible to peel off. Insiders say Meghan's team is already frustrated, aware that the more they try to control it, the more it spreads. It is the Streisand effect in action. The attempt to squash the joke only feeds it further. Even more worrying for the Sussex brand is how the nickname affects search results in SEO. When people type as ever into social platforms, they are now being served memes that twist it into as if. That dilutes the brand identity and makes every launch harder to control. The risk is that when Meghan unveils a new product, be it wine, cookies, or holiday guides, the dominant conversation won't be about the product at all. It will be about the nickname. Marketing experts quietly admit this kind of reputational rot can sink a company faster than weak sales because it erodes consumer trust at the root. The danger doesn't stop there. Rival outlets smell blood in the water. Already, some tabloids have started sprinkling as if into coverage, quoting sources who use it as shorthand for the brand's lack of credibility. If mainstream media normalizes it, the nickname won't just be gossip, it will be canon, and that is Meghan's nightmare scenario. Because while a bad review can be rebutted, a cultural nickname can't be erased. It clings, it echoes, and it shapes every future headline. What makes it sting even more is that Meghan has always been deeply aware of language. She knows the power of framing, of phrasing, of slogans. As ever was supposed to sound timeless, elegant, grounded. Instead, it is being hollowed out and replaced with as if, which screams parody. The very thing she tried to control, her narrative, has been hijacked and flipped against her. And that is why insiders believe Montecito is tense right now. Because if as if becomes the permanent label, it won't just tarnish one wine launch. It could follow every venture she tries from here on out. And that raises the biggest question of all. Can Meghan shake this off? Or will the nickname outlive the brand itself? The cruel reality is that once a joke sticks, it can outlive the very thing it was mocking. That is the danger Meghan now faces with as if. What was supposed to be her bold reinvention into a lifestyle tastemaker risks being remembered only as a punchline, and insiders warn the fallout could ripple far beyond one product line. If partners, retailers, or investors start seeing the nickname dominate online chatter, they may grow wary of attaching themselves to a brand that feels tarnished before it even takes off. In the luxury world, perception is everything, and right now the perception is brutal. Think about the timing. Meghan and Harry are no longer backed by automatic Netflix millions. Their deals are no longer cushioned with guaranteed money. They are pitching, hustling, and according to some in Hollywood, already struggling to get bites. In that context, the as if nickname becomes more than a joke. It becomes a warning label, stamped across their business credibility. Each pitch meeting now carries an invisible whisper. Are we really investing in this, or are we investing in a meme? For seasoned executives, the answer is obvious. Risk outweighs reward. And the worst part? The ridicule isn't coming from anonymous trolls. It allegedly originated from the inner circle of William and Catherine, the very people Meghan once tried to outshine. That gives the jab legitimacy. It feels sharper, heavier, and harder to ignore. If random critics mocked her brand, Meghan could brush it off. But when the laughter is said to be coming from inside royal WhatsApps, the sting becomes personal. It is not just business, it is humiliation on the grandest stage. In Montecito, sources claim the mood is defensive. Strategies are being drawn up. PR advisors are weighing counter-narratives, but none of it feels strong enough to erase the image of Meghan as the butt of a joke. Her next launch could be flawless. Her next Netflix pitch could even get approved. But the nickname is waiting in the wings, ready to be revived with every new announcement. That is how cultural ridicule works. It becomes sticky, looping endlessly until the subject either overcomes it or collapses under its weight. So where does that leave Meghan? At a crossroads, she can double down, attempt to reclaim the narrative, or ignore it altogether and hope the storm passes. But ignoring a meme rarely works, and doubling down risks feeding it further. For a woman who once prided herself on controlling the story, the cruel irony is that this time, she may have no control at all. And that is why the as if saga matters so much. It is not just a nickname, it is a test of Meghan's resilience, her branding savvy, and her ability to reinvent herself yet again. If she cannot, then her empire may never truly get off the ground. But what do you think? Is the as if nickname a passing internet fad, or has it already cemented itself as Meghan's new legacy? Drop your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. The next video on your screen is waiting, and trust me, you won't believe what's coming next.